QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Abalde. Well, the only thing we're looking for in the morning, I mean, it's QTV this morning, especially when we're rushing from our houses to the studios, it's to go and do this morning for you. So I am joined by Julde Njai. Julde, good morning.
Good morning,
How are
Ibrahim.
you?
I'm okay, alhamdulillah.
Beautiful outfit.
Thank you.
I love the touch on the hands, and at the same time, I love the material plus the black veil.
Oh my God, thank you. Of course, xam nga ko si jaar, Njai Cara moo si jaar.
Who did that again?
Moom si lum jaar rek mu baax, Njai Cara.
Oh,
you
Njai
are the
Cara did that?
Njai Cara moo fa jaar.
Wow, that's
Moom
right.
daal si lum jaar rek mu baax, mashallah. Good morning, Mr. Ade. Good morning to
how are
our
you?
viewers and to
morning.
everybody watching us.
Good morning, Julde, and good morning, Mr. Weltare. It's always good to be on here. Always a pleasure.
Exactly. I mean, you're not the only one who called me that name.
Well, I've started calling
Even
you that
Imam-
because Imam.
Even
I'm
Imam
copying
Ja.
the Imam.
Imam Ja, the other time I said to Imam, why do you call me Weltare? He said, I cannot call you any other name. I'm used to Weltare, you know? So that is what it is. It rained cats and dogs yesterday.
It did indeed.
Heavily.
It did indeed. And also on Saturday, I was here at late night Saturday, and it was quite heavy then. So yeah, it's been a very few rainy days. And for those of us who live somewhere where it gets muddy, it's particularly difficult to navigate with your car. So not pleasant at all. Yeah.
Especially the electronic cars. I mean, it's very difficult.
Yeah, it's you know, if it rains too much, you have to drive through what is almost a lake or a pond, and sometimes they're halfway up your tires and sometimes higher, and of course that's not good for your engine either. So yeah.
So Julde, it's telling us how much work should be done
Absolutely.
in the Gambia. I mean, there are countries that, you know, when it rains, when you go in the streets, you don't even realize
no
it
big
rains.
deal.
Seriously.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Seriously, we seriously have to work on our infrastructure. Of course, works has been going, but then, you know, a lot needs to be done,
Yeah.
you know, to fix these things. And, you know, it can't be fixed with just talking. It has to be, we have to be action-oriented in order to fix this country. Not just in terms of infrastructure, in all other areas. We need really serious work to be done in order to fix things in this country. If not, we will just be talking here forever.
It's you know, we should build a kind of a Gambian dream, like you hear people talk about the American dream. Well, maybe the Gambian dream should be about, you know, cleaning up our country, improving our infrastructure, improving education, you know, things like that. And you know, for some of this, it's not always about money. Sometimes it's a kind of innate pride in your surroundings and in your country that makes you clean it. But I don't see that. I see the opposite. You know, I see people driving and throwing. Somebody was in my car the other day, and they started pointing out the people who were throwing food and empty cups and things from their car. And I said, look, I said, it's gotten so bad I don't even notice it anymore, because I just used to get infuriated by it, and I thought I always would get infuriated by it. But now it's just so common that, you know, I don't even bother, because it's not going to change anybody.
It's
But somebody
normalized.
watching this is probably doing it, and you have to ask yourself, well, why do you do it? You know, it's disgraceful.
It's
But, you
bad.
know, so there's a lot of a mindset change that needs to happen,
Attitudinal
and I don't
change.
see it happening. I don't see it happening, and you know, I'm not
Attitudes.
sure what will make it happen, but something needs to do.
Well, all the countries that developed, I mean, all the countries that succeeded when it comes to development, I think, you know, they put it on them to take responsibility and, you know, develop their country. But Mr. Ade, I mean, it's very difficult in Africa generally. I mean, most people don't care. All that we think about is, I mean, myself, going to Europe. Going to Europe, getting my money, you know, building my own corner. I don't care, let the rest go to hell. I mean, that's how people think.
Well, yes and no. I mean, the reason I say
Our
yes and no.
country is not like that.
Well, no, the thing is, I had just, I'm smiling because I have just come from a WhatsApp argument about something similar to what you've just said. We cannot generalize. And so what the person had done is they had said that they started, the first sentence was, Rwanda is the only country in Africa where, and then they listed a whole range of things. You can walk around, nobody will steal your mobile phone because everybody's honest, the place is clean and so on. But you know what I'm going to say to that? I said, all of us in that group are Sierra Leoneans. I said, there's a country in ECOWAS. Cape Verde, which is the same.
You are the Cape Verdean ambassador.
Ambassador in the Gambia.
And the same could be said of the Seychelles. There are countries where people are honest and the countries are clean. Cape Verde is the only country where I've gone to a restaurant 5 minutes after I paid and I'm walking down the street, somebody ran after me to tell me that we think you've overpaid. I can't think of any country in the world where that would happen. And what had happened was we'd been there for 4 days. We'd paid with euros, escudos, and dollars everywhere you go.
I learned they take all.
They take all of those. Yeah. They take all of those. So I got my bill and I just assumed it was in euros and I paid and I walked out. I didn't think I'd been ripped off or they'd overcharged me. And then the guy comes running after me, plate of money with my chain. I'm like, what are you talking about? I paid. He said, no, the bill was in escudos, which is obviously much less than it would have been in euros. And I saw the manager up the road and I just said, just take it. Because I didn't think I'd overpaid. I'd enjoyed my meal. And so when I hear people say the only country in Africa, I said, well, because you haven't been anywhere else. Yeah. Go to a few countries and look. And so I even said that, even though I'm quoting Cape Verde, I know it's the same in Seychelles. So there are other countries if we look around.
Cote d'Ivoire is actually clean as well.
Of course.
Cote d'Ivoire,
particularly Abidjan. So I think we need to look around before we generalize that. Us Africans are not like this. There are places where people do care.
Exactly. The reason why that happens, sometimes it's the system. It's the orientation, the system from the beginning. Maybe everything is in place. When you look at the countries like Cape Verde, their situations is far different from other countries. Maybe when you work, you earn. But in other countries, even if you work the whole day, your wages cannot even buy a bag of rice for you. Yeah. But that could be the difference as well.
Everywhere is suffering, including Cape Verde. Because it became overly dependent on tourism. And so when COVID hit, it had quite a devastating impact. Imagine this is a country which has 580,000 population, and yet in 2019 they had 890,000 tourists. That's the kind of figures we can only dream about.
Yes, and for your information, now they are talking about millions.
They wanted to hit 1 million had COVID not happened. They wanted to hit 1 million and then COVID happened. In fact, they were confident, because they did their planning for 5 years ahead. But, it is about planning ahead, not just dreaming. And as Julde said, we shouldn't just talk about these things. We need to make it happen. And for me, there is stuff that we can expect government to do, but there's stuff we need to do as well. So if I'm a citizen and I'm in my car and I've finished my AFRA, I should not be throwing the wrapper and the chicken bones and whatever onto the street and say, government will clean it up. That's my duty. I should go home, put it in the bin, But, so they're...
Not even in the street. Sometimes you see people go into restaurants when they finish eating. Like they will split everything in the table. They will just leave it like that for the waiters to come and clean it. I can't really understand it. I think I've been to one restaurant over the weekend, the last weekend. And I ate and I cleaned up everything I packed. And then the waiter was like, this is unusual. Like mostly people would just come and scatter everything. And all those in that table followed suit. They also cleaned their table and then they packed everything. Just for the waiter to come and pick it up. You eat. Like you ate, you are an adult. Why would you wait for someone to come and clean up your mess? I think...
Yeah, the joke about that is that somebody will say, you're depriving that waiter of their job. In a sense, it is their job to do it. But you're right, you should not leave it in a mess, as much as possible. Tidy up where you've eaten. And that's also a sign that you appreciated what... because if you leave it all nasty, maybe means that maybe you didn't enjoy your meal. I don't know, because that's the message, the unspoken message that you're giving them by behaving like that.
My dad will tell you, if you leave it there, who's going to pick it for you?
Yeah, quite.
So I think it's important for us to take up responsibility.
Yeah. And that's the point I'm trying to make, I guess.
So, Julde, what's the African proverb? Although we've almost...
exhausted the time
but we have enough time today.
Okay.
To discuss. So.
Okay, African proverb. I'm not sure if it's a proverb.
It's just a quote.
What did it say?
It says, the husband may be the head of the home, but the wife is the head of the home.
Oh, yeah.
And that's straightforward.
Yeah, big up to
I'm
all.
loving this.
Let's say big up to all our women, our wives, our sisters, our mothers, our aunties,
It is...
You are the heart of the home.
Yeah.
Imagine a home without a woman.
Yeah.
Boring home.
A body without a hat.
boarding home.
I guess in traditional marriages and traditional families, it might be true. Although, you know, some fathers might say, hang on, I am also the head and the heart. But I think, you know, growing up, my mother gave up her career as a nurse to be a homemaker, whilst my father was initially a lawyer and then a government minister. And very much she was kind of the softer one. If we wanted something and we knew our father was going to say no,
Yeah, we are always.
we would go and speak to her first and say, can you speak to Dad about this, and convince him. And, you know, many times if we were persuasive enough, she would go and represent on our behalf. Like I said, my father was a lawyer, so he would always say, what's the evidence that they're going to do? So it became like a joke between us and him, you know. We say, yeah, we have the evidence, you know. And that was like a kind of joke that we had with him. But very much our mother was very much the softer of the two. My father was very stern. Sometimes he wouldn't even say anything, he'd just look at you. And that look told
and you understand what he means.
That look spoke volumes. Don't even dare, don't even think about it. That look said so many things. So yeah.
So our mothers, I mean, Julie, it's well, I think we all have similar connection. We are more connected to our moms. I mean, when we want something, because they are always there. I mean, to fulfill what we want. I mean, so it's easier to pass through them and go to your dad.
The father. Usually, that is what happens. Mommies are more soft and you know, easygoing than the fathers, but some of the moms.
It's like, you know, I was saying earlier, don't generalize, but I think on this we can probably generalize, but say that there are exceptions. There always will be.
But honestly, you know, the proverb or the quote says it all. The father might be the head of the home, but the mother is the head of the home.
Well, you're saying this, but you are a mother, so
Absolutely.
this is kind of self-praise, really,
yeah,
isn't it? You're a father, you're head of the home.
Yeah.
So are you the head, and your wife is the heart?
I call my wife Commander-in-Chief.
There you are.
Of the house.
Of the
yes, of my heart. Of my heart and my house. Yes.
That's
so
lovely.
What happened is I tend to be the hard one. You understand? Sometimes a father needs to be a little bit hard for the kids. I mean, the kids need to understand there is someone in the house. When he talks, I mean, it's final. Yes. You know, although the mother sometimes convince the father. That's how it happened. When my wife said to me, okay, I wanted to circumcise my kids. I took them to circumcision last week. So, you know, at some point I didn't want to do it now. But when she came to me, I said, I will do it. And I did it. You understand? There are places whereby your wife, I mean, feels your heart. There is a space in your heart where you hold her. Whatever she requests, you know, which is good for your future.
Was there a reason why you were not the one who wanted to do it now? Was there? I'm just asking.
There was a reason. You know, at some point, I was like, the kids are small. You know, the pain that they will go through. I was feeling that.
My son was very, very
I was feeling
only
that,
a few weeks old.
But my wife also knows where she's going to pass. She passed through my dad. You understand? So when she passed through my dad.
So you see the reason why we are the head of the home.
So we have this connection.
Sure.
When I need something from my dad, I'll come, almost go down on the ground and ask for it.
You can do ballet.
Yes. But when I need something from my mom, I'll be like, Mom, what's in your wallet? That's how I mean, that's even yesterday. I was like, Mom, what do you have in your wallet? I'm broke. Can you open your wallet for me? You know?
So it goes to say that if the heart is broken, every other thing is broken in the home. Women can make or break a house depending on how you treat them or how they are living in that particular home. If you make them feel that, okay, this is your home, it belongs to you, you know, you are the sole owner of the house, I mean, they will go all out to make sure that it is the best home ever. But if you want to make the hell for that particular home for the woman, you will not also enjoy it. So that is why I said that they can make or break a home. Oftentimes I hear men talk about, okay, my wife is this and that. I said, trust me, if you know that it's so easy to tame a woman, it's so easy to convince her, it's so easy to mold her to make her the best version of herself. you know, women can be anything they want to be, depending on the kind of man you have. That is why I always argue that I don't think there is any bad woman out there, depending on the bad man. If you have a bad husband, trust me, no matter how good you are, you will become bad. But if you have a very good husband, no matter how stubborn or bad you are, you as the woman, the husband will be able to tame you. That is how just, you know, women are made. You know, so I think it's depend on the
So husbands, listen, don't be bad.
So we will come back to Julde. I mean, like I said, I mean, Julde mentioned a very important point there. I mean, it's important sometimes. I mean, men always have what we call the upper hand when it comes to women, because we tend to think men are stronger than women,
physically
and men
mentally.
Men are the ones that should take care of women. You understand? So sometimes you don't know. Your wife might be going through some emotional issues. You never know. Sometimes at workplace, sometimes, you know, certain things are there. I mean, the man needs to comfort this woman.
Sure.
You understand? There's nothing wrong with telling your wife, okay, baby, I know things are hard. Times are tough. You understand? I know you're going through a lot. I've seen your efforts. But don't think when things are good, I will forget about you. I'll never forget about you. Those are little words, but they matter a lot.
But don't you also think that one of the problems that we men have is that when we are going through hard times, difficulties, we don't want people to know. We keep it.
Let's take a short break.
Sure.
After the break, then we have to continue this. It's very significant. We'll be right back.
Technology has always been at the forefront of our lives, and the way we use it has evolved drastically over the years. With the advent of 5G internet, we are entering a new era of technological innovation that promises to transform the way we live, work, and play. 5G internet is capable of providing data speeds up to 100 times faster than 4G, making it the ideal solution for streaming high-quality videos, playing online games, and downloading large files on the go. 5G internet is already transforming cities across the globe, powering smart cities, self-driving cars, and virtual reality experiences that were once thought impossible. 5G internet is also paving the way for Internet of Things, allowing for seamless connectivity between devices and the creation of a truly connected world. For the first time in the Gambia, QCell is bringing tomorrow's technology to you today with the launch of QCell 5G internet. Get ready to experience the out-of-this-world wonders of QCell's 5G internet. For more information, call 111. QCell. We innovate, others follow.
Well, go get the number 3 or the number 5. We innovate, others follow. And now we are on 5G. You understand? Welcome to the future, baby. Yeah, so you were saying something, Mr.
About
Ade.
men. I mean, men, because of this trying to project rather this image of being strong, when we are going through things, mental problems and so on, we tend to keep it in. And so in some countries, certainly, they attribute this to high suicide rate amongst men because they don't feel they can voice out. They think they'll be perceived as being weak if they think, oh, I'm having problems of this type or that type. So it's not always a good thing that, you know, men, you know, we always say, oh, women will be, you know, they'll be emotional and so on. Maybe they're not ashamed to show it, but men somehow feel ashamed to show it because of the pressure that society puts on them to be strong, to always be the strong one. So even when they're having like serious problems, it's all kept inside. It's not voiced out. It's not told to anybody. And then they go and do something crazy, and everybody thinks, "Oh, why did he do that?" You know.
But I think a person created from a rib, from one of your ribs. I mean, Mr. Ade, that guy, that person, you should be stronger. That person. I mean, women are, you know, from one side of our rib cage. I mean.
That does not mean that you are inferior to
No,
women.
it's not been inferior. It's been, you know, giving women the space to...
I think men and women have different attributes.
Yes.
I think that's the most you can say,
Yeah.
you know, because, you know, I remember arguing with one of my colleagues here in the office who told me that, you know, even though his wife was better educated than him, he wouldn't allow her to go out and work. this is a colleague who works here at QTV, I was quite shocked. I was like, why? He said, oh, I don't think it's right. That's the only thing he could say. I mean, so I think some of these societal things that we adopt, they're not always good. Because we assign roles, gender roles to people. You have this person saying that and thinking like that, and that's not always a good thing. Because if that person knows they're in a marriage with you and they know that they're better educated than you, trust me, they might not say anything, but the resentment will probably be there. It might not be voiced out because of the society we live in, but that person will probably never thank you for it, that you've consigned them to a particular role just because you're a man and she's a woman. So, you know,
they'll
sometimes
tell you,
there needs to be flexibility.
The society will tell you to, mane, gordu joy.
Yeah.
Man
really sad.
doesn't cry. I mean,
Yeah,
don't
because-
cry.
yeah.
You know, are you a woman?
You
Why
can
you cry?
be weak,
Yeah, you hear
exactly,
that, yeah.
and that's where the problem started. The way we are brought up. No, honestly, that's where it all started. When you're young, you'll be like, okay, even something happen, maybe if your people are not well off, they'll be like, okay, let me just give it to the female children, and then, you know, you are a man, you can cope, you can go to school without lunch. You know, that is where it all started. If you make them feel that, okay, there is that inferiority complex between them at an early age, that is where it grows. My boy and my girl, they're all the same. Like, you want to teach them the same values, the same norms, you know, the same discipline in life, but the way you brought them up will tell a lot as to how they really live, you know, when they grow up. So that's where we have the problem. I think we should break that chain of discrimination, that stigmatization, that inferiority complex between men and women or girls. That is why many homes are broken now. If you go to homes now, most of these homes, you see all of the homes are having problems. Kids can no more concentrate because of this. You see a woman who is, you know that this is more capable than me, this is more educated than me, just like the example you cited. But because you feel like if that woman goes out to work, maybe it's a threat to you. Maybe the woman will earn more than you, or maybe you think that the woman will feel like a boss in the house, but that's not the case in most cases.
You mean it's a kind of suppressing the woman?
Yeah, I mean, when I was married, even though I was better educated than my wife, she actually earned more than me. It was never a problem for me. You know, I wasn't going to say, oh, you know, it just didn't even come to me. I mean, I'm not that money obsessed. So the point never came up, you know, but for some men that is a problem. Yeah.
And it should not be.
It shouldn't be.
We are partners. We are not in competition, and
Absolutely.
we are not enemies. You know, we are there to build a home, to build a family. So we should see each other as.
I think Julde made a point.
Yeah.
We are partners. We are not in a competition. You know, you cannot compete your wife cannot compete with you. You have kids to bring up. I mean, I think it's important for each and every marriage to know this. I was talking to one of my friends today when we were driving to work. I said to him, boy, you know what? He said to me, no. I said, I mean, I've seen now marriages don't last. What's the problem? What do you think is the problem? You know, he said to me, you know, it might be people are living fake. That's what he said.
Fake life.
People are living fake.
Fake life.
I mean,
yeah.
I told him, look, you know, at some point people tend to date for a long time before they get married. People will tell you, okay, I want to know her attitude. I want to know his attitude before we get married. I said, I don't think dating for a very long time is the solution.
No.
You never know each other's attitude. Might be the man does certain things that he doesn't want the woman to know.
Oh, that's right.
Going and coming of that woman will not
never,
except if you live with the man.
unless you live with the person. Yeah, I mean, I think what has changed over the years, certainly over my lifetime, is that we were aware growing up of very many marriages where it was not a happy marriage, and yet they stayed married. They never got divorced. I had a cousin who, in fact, when she left her husband, actually came to live in my house in London. And she used to criticize me for getting divorced. And I said, well, you've lived away from your husband for 10 years now. He's in Sierra Leone, you're in London. You haven't seen him in 10 years, and you still think you're married? It's a nonsense. At least I'm divorced. I don't pretend. And just yesterday, I happened to mention to somebody that somebody I knew very well, they lived apart for 32 years without getting divorced. And she used to tell me, "Oh, he's my husband." I said, "You haven't seen him in 20 years." You know, and then when he died, about 5-6 years ago, she was crying, she was this, I'm like, he's in Sierra Leone, you're in UK.
We call that crocodile.
32 years you've been apart. I mean, that's fake. That's not a marriage.
We call it
You don't see each other, you don't even speak to each other, and you're telling me you're married. You just didn't bother to get divorced. So those people who are of that age, I mean, the woman I'm speaking of, she's now 80. So they are of a generation where they didn't believe in divorce. And I think the difference I've seen is that younger people, they're not going to go through that pretense that, oh, we're still married when, you know, you're in one country and you don't even speak to each other. That's not a marriage anymore. So they will get a divorce. So those are the kind of changes that I've certainly seen in my lifetime, that you have people who, they're no longer going to put up with it. Why should they? You know, just for appearance sake. It's not a marriage.
So the leader of the main opposition, United Democratic Party, has urged President Adama Barrow to institute an investigation into the Independence Stadium remodeling contract. All right?
Yeah.
It continues. He further said any serious government will have by now instituted an investigation into the $160 million stadium renovation contract.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just that they want an investigation into the contract. It's an investigation into why is it that when they did an inspection, it failed on so many levels when we consider the amount that's been spent on it. So I think that investigation is inevitable. The public are crying out for it. And I think it's unavoidable. People want answers because this is a football-loving country. It's a sport-loving country. We want to be able to have sports at our national stadium. We can't if the national stadium is deemed unfit, despite millions of dollars being spent on it. So I think it's inevitable that they're going to go to some sort of investigation. But I think they'll probably wait till it's finished, because I don't think it would be right to have the investigation whilst it's ongoing, whilst the renovation and refurbishment is ongoing. Yeah.
Well, so the minister also is saying, I mean, it is too expensive for the Gambia to get a new stadium now. Mr. Ari, sometimes I tend to think whether these people are fooling us, or are they trying to play games, or are we nursery school children? Are you going to kindergarten? Julde, are you going to kindergarten?
Why do you say that? You're based on what the minister said.
Why can't we get a new stadium? We've been using a stadium since independence, you understand? So why can't we, after, we all know.
Are you going to pay for it?
If we are ready for it, there will be money.
Are you going to pay for it?
But, I mean,
where is the money coming from?
But how are they getting money for other things?
Things like what?
For vehicles, for fuel, for all these things.
Absolutely.
Let's be realistic. Sometimes we need to be realistic on our own thing.
I don't think it's about realistic. I mean, you can't always compare, you know, one thing with another. A new stadium will cost considerably more than 160 million. We might be talking about $1 billion. Do we really have that money to spend on a stadium just because we love sport and we love football? They can spend the money wisely that is allocated for the thing. But if they said to everybody in the country, pay an extra $5 on top of your tax, and we can guarantee that that will go towards the stadium, perhaps people will be willing to do it. In other countries, they will do a bond. They will issue a bond that people can buy, and that bond ends up paying for the stadium. There are creative ways of doing it. So on that aspect, I agree with you that if you want to find the money, but I don't think it's, oh, take the money from the vehicles and then give it to that. So what, do you have the National Assembly members going to work on a bicycle? You know, look at our roads. So no, I mean, I think, you know, you shouldn't always try and say, oh, because you can do this, you must be able to do that. They're quite separate things. But it's a lot of money that needs to be, you look at the cost of the one in Senegal, we don't have that kind of money to build something like that. But I think also we've not used the money wisely, because if Mauritania and Cape Verde can use FIFA money wisely to build new stadium,
why not us?
What's stopping the Gambia?
That's what I'm about
I keep
to
asking
say,
this
Mr.
question.
Ade.
Nobody's answered it for me. You know, those people used FIFA money to build their stadium. What is stopping the Gambia? The same money that they used is there, waiting for the Gambia. It's been there since 2016. So if anybody,
so why can't they claim it?
Well, I'm just watching. If anybody from the GFF is watching, please, I hope you will answer that question, because we're all getting fed up of you know, this money just sitting there unused. So yeah.
So that's the problem we have. That's the problem that Balde is talking about. If Cape Verde can do it, if Senegal can do it,
Mauritania.
Why not Mauritania? Why not the Gambia?
I mean, Senegal didn't use so much FIFA money. They used private money. But Mauritania and Cape Verde certainly did. They used FIFA money. And look at the beautiful stadium that they built.
Absolutely.
10 times
so
better than
we
what
could
we have.
also do it as a country, depending on, but whether we trust our politicians enough to entrust them with our money, that is also a, you know, another question.
Well, I mean, when it comes to something like the stadia, it's not the politicians, it's the GFF. And because FIFA are quite strict about these things, they don't want politics and politicians to get involved.
We all know they are all politicians,
other than you know, the ministry that has responsibility for it. And you know, so yeah, the money goes to the GFF. It doesn't go to the government. Not in Cape Verde, not in Mauritania. Not anywhere else. Sierra Leone is in just as bad a position as the Gambia. They haven't taken their money either since 2016.
I mean, how can you trust people who build a toilet for millions of dollars, just a common toilet? How can you trust them with your own stadium? How can you trust them with your money?
That's it.
So that's the problem we have in this country. You can't really trust people like that. People who will come and just present one toilet and say, this is, you know, this costed millions of dollars.
The toilet we built, we bought gold from...
Seriously, Sadi?
From Libya. And we built that toilet with gold.
I think we've also heard similar things in this Commission of Inquiry that's ongoing. You know, money that's being misappropriated. And people who are officials have become wealthy, although one of them was denying that he was wealthy when it was put to him at the last week. So yeah, there are a lot of misappropriation, and even those who didn't want the commissions of inquiry to start, I think they're glad now that they've started, because they're exposing a lot of things that need to be rectified across the country.
Well, I think it's the system. I mean, there is a failure in the system, not only in the Gambia.
In fact, it's a failure to have systems.
In many countries, you know. I think there should be a proper structure put in place where people will not have access to finance. Otherwise, it becomes a problem. Sure. You know, let's look at our institutions. Let's look at government institutions. Let's look at, you know, certain institutions. They are all dying down. Recently, I read on the newspaper that Gamcel is owing millions of dollars. Yeah. You understand? And I'm told, I mean, they are going to be bankrupt very soon. You understand? So these are all structures that should be put in place. Otherwise, people will be there just to enrich themselves.
Well, I think you mentioned systems, and the reason I interjected is that if you listen and you watch the Commission of Inquiry, you'll see that on paper there are systems and there are procedures, and they just get ignored. So when it says that before a certain amount of money should be approved, 3 people need to sign, and then they show the guy the paper. So why is it only 1 person signed here? Oh, I guess that's you hear it 10 times a week. You know, where they on paper, if somebody was doing an audit and all they checked was the paper as to what should be done, they'll say, gosh, this Gambia is so very well run, all these local councils, all these. But when you delve into the actuality of the reality of it, it's a completely different picture that emerges. You find that people just ignore the systems, they ignore the procedure, and they just sign, oh, well, you know, I know this guy, so I'll sign off this money for him. And I keep saying this, people need to watch this.
Seriously,
they'll be horrified.
that's why I'm not really optimistic about the issue of digitalization. Of course, it's a
but
good
that's
thing.
That's the thing that will tighten it up.
It's a good thing, but whether people will adhere to it, whether people will use it.
Let me give you an example. Where on a paper form, Balde can come to me and say, Ade, can you sign this check, please? Now, what is written down says it has to be signed by you, you, and you. 3 people. In a digital form, if all 3 people who have separate passwords don't okay it, it cannot be issued.
It will reject.
It's as simple as that.
That's the problem.
It cannot
they will
be.
not adhere to it.
No, but how
Look
can
at
you
most
not?
of these.
Then the money won't get issued.
Lots of these government institutions have the clock-in system.
Yes.
Now they are having this clock-in rather than just writing on paper. But we're seeing that they don't even clock in.
It's you know they
That's
say
the problem in this country.
in a
Mr.
clock-in
Ali.
you can say you know we didn't have light yesterday, so when I came I couldn't clock in. There are ways you can get around that, but something where a check cannot be issued by, because it's not an individual issuing it, it is the system that issues it. And if 3 people have not okayed it, it simply will not get issued.
Yeah, there are places that you can take excuse to clock in. There is no power, but not the Q group. Not here. Not here. Yeah. So viewers, well, that's all we have for you. I mean, on the
a lively morning.
Yeah. So
yes, indeed.
we'll take a short break. Then we'll talk to GCCI. Let's take a look at what they've been doing, some of their activities.
Sure.
As you know,
Just had their AGM.
Yes, exactly. So we'll take a short break. After the break, we'll be back.
The future is now with QCell's 5G network. Experience speeds like never before with our new 5G Rocket Fixed Internet plan. Get speeds from 10 Mbps to 100 Mbps. Your 5G-enabled devices. Walk into QCell headquarters to get one of our 5G routers and experience the true feeling of 5G. Only with QCell. QCell brings you the future. Tech, innovation, incredible speed. The future is now. For more information, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Sunyabus. We innovate, others follow. Terms and conditions apply.
QCell brings you the future with our ultimate bundles. Enjoy the best voice and data bundle plans in one package. Get unlimited data packages with flexible validity and enjoy what true internet feels like. Get 30 minutes of on-net and off-net calls with 5 gigabytes of data for just $350. Or get bigger bundle packages from 10 gigabytes to 20 gigabytes with over 100 on-net and off-net voice calls and enjoy the fastest internet speed in the Gambia. You can also buy 1-day, 3-day or even 7-day packages and enjoy unlimited data bundles with uncapped speeds. Just dial *343# today and experience the limitless capabilities of the QCell network. *343# should be your favorite code to dial now. For more information, call our customer care on 111. QCell. We innovate, others follow.
Step into the Espas Motors showroom.
This morning, after a very interesting, interaction with Mr. Ade there. Now let's take a look at GCCI. As you know, they've been doing a lot in this country.
Absolutely.
A lot of activities, the Kerjula Challenge, a very famous, activity. And they've also inspired and helped a lot of young people across the country. And some of them have now grown to be big business people, and they are doing wonders in the business market. And on the platform, we have the board director, GCCI, Lassana M. Tunkara. Mr. Tunkara, you are welcome on this platform.
Thank you very much.
It's good to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here.
All right. So why is this sounding like QTV? It's not sounding like GCCI for me.
Because I wear a number of hats. The name of my hat is GCCI.
Exactly. Please, Alaji. Okay, you see, Alaji is coming. Mr. Tunkara, please, can you take us through what GCCI stands for?
I'll do that, thank you. But let me first say, on Friday afternoon, Friday evening, we had a legally mandated annual general meeting. That is where members of GCCI, we're member-led organizations. The members of GCCI all gathered with the president, Idrissa Mas-Job, the CEO, Sarata Konate, board directors, partners, and our advisory council, which is comprised of former presidents of GCCI. We met at the GCCI headquarters, Kerjula, and we had a very productive meeting. And in fact, for an AGM, it's one of the first AGMs that I've been to where the energy in the room was very, very positive. And I think that's a testament to the work that the GCCI board, the GCCI secretariat, and its members have been doing over the past year.
Wow, that's interesting. I mean, what are some of the things that were discussed and highlighted on the AGM?
I think the main thing obviously was the accounts, and we had our accounts presented by PKF, and it showed that GCCI has a year-on-year growth, a substantial growth under the current leadership. Our accounts are healthy, we have a good bank balance, our assets have increased, so that was the main thing. The CEO, on behalf of presented the President's report, where we spoke about the various activities that GCCI have been doing. You know, things like the Care Jeweler Challenge, which obviously was a partnership with QTV, QCell sponsored, and the ILO, where we had participants from all over the country. It was a pitching competition, pitching young entrepreneurs. We went around the country and came to 19 finalists, and all those finalists were winners anyway. They all took home prizes. And the great thing about it, I wish Jennifer was here, she would have been dancing. 12 of the 19 were women that won. So things like that. We have the Roots Project, which is the transformative smallholder project. We also had an economic forum with ECOWAS on the African Free Trade Agreement. So there's many, many activities that we presented there and had interactions with our members.
Julia.
It says that your account jumped from 29 million to $33 million. Of course, you mentioned the Care Jeweler Challenge. Aside from that, what warranted the increase in your account?
The main thing, as I mentioned earlier, was we have very serious financial discipline in the organization. Everything is monitored carefully, and that's pretty much what guarantees us healthy accounts, is the financial responsibility that is shown, especially by the Secretariat, and of course being overseen by the board. Also, things like this year last year we had the biggest trade fair in the history of GCCI, where we had over 500 exhibitors there. I think we had something like 70,000 guests came there. So all of these activities that we are doing helped us to get where we are today.
So what are we expecting different from the GCCI as far as this year is concerned?
Well, I think pretty much more of the same. We'll continue to bring innovative solutions for our members, to help our members, because you have to remember GCCI is a member-driven organization. So everything the board and the Secretariat do is for the members. So we continue looking for new partners, continue looking for new projects to bring in to help our members expand their businesses, to create growth, to create room for young entrepreneurs. And I say young, especially youth and especially women, because most of the things that GCCI does is targeted at youth and women, because we all know that women work very hard. So we have to really support them in everything they do.
So what are of course we know that your accounts are booming, you're doing so well in helping the young people, but also we know that there are lots of challenges you're confronted with. What are some of those challenges?
Well, a lot of to deal with the challenges, we don't really see them as challenges, they're opportunities. Like we have had, I think in this past few years under the stewardship of our current president, Idrissa Mas Jobe, we have had many, many interactions with the government on many levels, from president down. You know, we're part of the National Business Council. We have economic forums. So we have regular engagements with government to make sure that whatever hurdles are there, that we try to get over them. Even recently when we had the transport strike, not many people knew about it at the time, but it was GCCI-led initiative that put an end to the transport strike, led by one of our directors, Mr. Jallo. So, you know, our goal is to have outreach, is to have engagement, is to have dialogue, and implement great policies.
Well, from 37 million to more than 46 million glasses, I mean, it's a lot of money. And what are the source of income? Where do you generate this money from?
Income is from subscriptions, is from trade fair revenue, and is also from our partners that support us in our projects, you know. And going back to what you were asking me also, a big thing in GCCI is regional expansion. Yes, we are here in the Greater Banjul area, but we're looking to expand into the regions. And the first place we're looking at, we've already had meetings with the council in Basse, is we want to open a regional in your area. We want to open an office, a GCC office there. We want to open one in Farafenni. In all the regions, we want to have a GCCI office, a satellite office there, so we can help growth in those areas as well.
Well, I think that's a good idea because that will make people access to GCCI direct.
Exactly.
And yes, let's talk about the roots. I mean, it's important for us to highlight this. Tell us about the Roots project.
Roots is a collaborative investment between the International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFAD, and the government of the Gambia with GCCI. And it's to help smallholders grow into big holders, basically. So it's about giving them access to resources, it's about giving them access to training and things of that nature. So we will continue to look at partnerships that we can bring into this country that will help grow our entrepreneurship base, help grow the economy of the country. I think that's the main target of the GCCI.
Smallholders to big holders. What, when you talk, like when you mention that, what do you really mean?
Specific, yeah.
Like if you're a smallholder is what? Somebody with a small area that they're farming. Giving them access to technology, giving them access to resources to help grow that small farm into a big farm.
With interest or for free?
What do you mean with interest? I didn't say anything about loans, did I?
I'm just asking. I just want you to be specific.
It's about giving them assistance.
Well, is it for free
even today when I was driving into work, I saw a couple of vehicles and it said, you know, courtesy of Roots Project. So you can see it happening all around the country. But again, for the specifics of Roots, I think you'd have to bring the Roots guys in.
But
Exactly.
we will be there.
Yes, I mean,
we want to benefit as well.
We have to be there.
I mean, we also had like the Digital Jeweler, which is an online platform, which is helping give technology education to young entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs, to take them from not being the digital age to the digital age, whether it's in marketing, whether it's online sales, things like that. So again, we have many, many outreach projects.
Well, I discussed with someone at some point. I mean, this individual said, okay, the Kirjula challenge, I mean, it's a good one. So when are we having maybe, where are we going to have the final, maybe another time up country, maybe Farafenni or Jarasoma or Basse, like the one we did at the GCCI grounds, yes. If we can
final?
have yes, if
the final was at the Sadara Kalabajara Conference Center.
Okay, if we can have such a thing around Basse or Farafenni or somewhere.
It's possible, but normally what happens with national competitions is you have regional heats across the country, and then those regions come together in one location for a final. Obviously, in the Greater Banjul area, we're here, so this is where it happens. It's possible, and I'm sure our treasurer, Mr. Njundu Fati, he's a big proponent of the regional expansion. I'll bring it up to him and see what he says.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tunkara. I'm told time is against us. This is all we have today.
You sure? Can I have some more time?
No, it's enough. If GCCI want more time, they have to come and pay.
Yes.
Yeah, so Julde, I mean, can you please show us your outfit?
Yes, my outfit. Oh my God,
I think I even need to show my trousers.
Yes, I'm excited already.
You stopped GCCI for a fashion show?
No, I need to show my trousers. Where should I
stand?
stand?
Don't show your trousers.
Look at this.
Wow, nice.
Julde, tell me, where is this from?
Oh my God, I'm going to Chara rek ay muna jasili. Chara World Market. Mama Solaltay from the shoes, of course you've seen the shoe. It's my outfit. I love it so much, and I know Balde loves it as well.
Bottom to top.
Bottom to top. Yeah. So reach Njai Chara, you can reach him on the number 215-4377, 215-4377. Njai Chara World Market mungi Serekunda si after Juma birek. So hole si kaw Njai Chara World Market mumfa. It's very nice, mashallah. So buge look glow. You see how I'm glowing?
She is looking.
Njai Chara is the deal, guys. Njai Chara is the deal.
Yeah. So now my trouser.
Yes.
This is done by Barcelona Fashion.
Oh.
Yes, Mohammed and the guys.
Yeah.
You know, Barcelona, it's very comfortable.
Yeah, they're doing so well.
If you want this, go to Barcelona Fashion. It's the deal. Allah, you go to Barcelona Fashion.
Everybody go to Njai Chara. They are the real deal. Of course, he does have a QCell number. Come on. He does have a QCell number, but he's the deal because Mungi empower women and everybody.
Yes, so that's all we have
for you.
Until tomorrow, have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.